I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
It's every Red Raiders' favorite podcast. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Happy Monday. It is Tech Talk here in Double T 97.3, DoubleTSportsNetwork.com, and the Double T 97.3 mobile app, brought to you by our friends at Happy State Bank. Clint Scott, Dr. Mike Gustafson, DJ Puddin in the house. That is Skyler Brown behind the glass taking care of us. We are live for 3 hours here from the First United Bank studio. You can join us on the program all show long. Yates Flooring Center chat line is open. The Visual Edge IT hotline is also open. 806-771-0973 is that number. If you want to watch us, you can do so on Fox 34 News Now. Don't forget about the YouTube stream. Also, we're on Facebook streaming live there every single day. If you're on YouTube, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, anything like that, you can follow us, you can subscribe, you can do all the things to just kind of stay up to date with everything that's going on over here. And I'll tell you what is going on over here. We're talking about another Red Raider win, and that's probably not the surprising way to say it, but another Red Raider win where most everything looked good. Now you get to look up and host Oregon State this week. We got a kick time for Utah. Just waiting for that official Big Noon Kickoff announcement over there in Utah. But here we are. Happy Monday, guys.
Yeah, I wouldn't have bet on that. 10 a.m. Mountain Time.
You know, the way that the AP Top 25 lined up, I felt really good about your shot. And I guess we still haven't seen the official announcement. Just everything is lining up for it. But you don't...
You're talking about the pregame show.
Yeah. The Big Noon Kickoff. And I think, I don't know what your chances would be like between that and like College Game Day to host it. I think you would need a really, really good BYU run to be a part of it.
Right.
I thought maybe it would be that game against Arizona State, woof, for them this weekend. Or maybe Utah. And as soon as I saw you both in the top 25, certainly seems like it's lined up for that. And I guess they don't make that announcement official until next week anyway, so I don't know why I'm waiting for it now.
And this is the same Fox show that was in Lubbock last year for Colorado.
Yeah. The other thing is you don't have to be playing game at noon, but I have really enjoyed the first thing I've seen is the outrage from Utah. Like, you're just handing them a game. I wouldn't have a shot at Rice Eccles if this was a night game. Already just like coping about a game that's 2 weeks away.
Well, don't give too much agency to one clown on Twitter. Right?
Oh, it wasn't one clown. It was a whole. Okay, it was like that miniature car clown, or miniature car, clown car, and they have like 27. All just getting out, so it was a lot. But I was enjoying it.
But we would do the same thing if we got a 10 a.m. kick there. We'd have been. I had one of my buddies. I was like, "Hey, 11A versus Utah." Ugh. I was like, ugh, dude, what are you talking about? Ugh.
Hey, I said
their home game, not ours. If you're not out of bed by then, there we go.
I said that. Here we go. Nice. Official announcement. Texas Tech, Utah set for Big Noon Kickoff on Fox.
Yeah, maybe outrunning a 10K that morning and you're bothered by the 11 a.m. start. What's the deal? Why would we be worried about that?
I always see like
we want a stadium full of sleepy fans, right?
I always see like the complaint about 11 a.m. The first one I see is for tailgaters, and I get it. Like,
wait. This is a game at Utah. What do we give a bleep about their tailgate?
No. I'm saying the generic 11
that's exactly
the generic 11 a.m. complaint is not enough time to tailgate. But
so raise your hand if you've tailgated once in the last 2 years, Clint. Okay, thanks. All right, go ahead. Your opinion on tailgaters.
I like tailgating. I'm pro tailgating. I can't tailgate.
I understand. That's exactly what I'm saying. Like,
this seems like a shot at me, and I would love to.
This is more about the shot taker rather than. Yeah, I get what you're saying though.
Yeah,
but yes.
No, I get it when people
home games at 11. Not fun. Not as much fun. How's that?
But if I'm being honest, I love 11 a.m. kicks. I've said this before. I'll say it again. It lets me know what I should be in store for emotionally for the rest of the day.
Yeah,
if it's a big win, you can still celebrate on the other side.
What do you think the best Texas? I'm seeing a ton of these Texas Tech suspenders.
Oh overalls. Yeah, the black and red striped ones.
Most of the ones I'm seeing are black and red. Just saw one as you and I rewatched the game here. It's just on with the noise down here, the sound down. I just saw black and white, but all the ones I've seen are black and red. They look good.
Black and white one seems like they got it.
Like that guy
Amazon and not whatever they're handing.
Yeah. I think they're selling them at the bookstores and stuff around here in the gear stores. Yeah, I'm a fan. I'm a fan.
I do like them. Mm-hmm. The more I see, the less unique they are. I should wear those
to a certain gala next spring.
Yes. The first one I saw was like, that's amazing. Yeah. And like the 45th that I saw, I was like, that's still really cool.
Yeah, still really cool. Yeah, sure. So the first dude I saw wearing them like up close and personal was in a black long sleeve T-shirt, and yeah, it looked good. Or maybe it might not have been long sleeve. Yeah, it was. He had the black pairing with the red. Looked good. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Solid.
Did a lot of tailgating at LCU, did you? Oh, yeah, all the time.
Well, you have to understand, Clint's life back in those days was a tailgate. There was a lot of garage. Him and bro spent a lot of time in the garage.
His life was a tailgate.
Life is a tailgate.
It's like such a Matthew McConaughey quote. Hey, man, life's a tailgate. Just depends on how you look at it.
All right. Perfect.
Oh, man.
I think that song was in Cars, wasn't it? Life is a tailgate.
Oh, man. It is Tech Talk. That was a good reference. Off and running. Double T 97.3.
The podcast put together with Red Raider fans in mind. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3. Presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
It is Tech Talk on Double T 97.3. Happy Monday to you. Hopefully your Monday is not too Monday-esque and it's treating you right. Clint Scott, Dr. Mike Gustafson. Now on Behind the Glass on the Board, our very own Roman Island. Roman Hernandez taking care of us. Kyler Brown back there as well. Roman, how are you today?
I'm doing good.
Good weekend?
Yeah, I was all right. All the Commanders won, so.
Oh, yeah. Boy, the Giants. They did not look great. I thought your Commanders missed on some big play opportunities. I think they could have made that score look a lot worse. But man.
I also think it was mostly because of McLaurin, with the contract holdout that he was having with, so him and Daniels didn't get the connection they needed yet.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too worried about that, but I'm a Giants fan. We don't know any Giants fans, do we?
Nope.
Okay.
No. Probably think about it long enough and come up with some Regis Philbin or some deal, but that's God rest his soul, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This on the Yates.
Good state there.
This on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. T-Money asks, so how do you have a big noon kickoff, but the game actually starts at 10 a.m.?
Haha.
That is kind of funny because it's
East
like
Coast time, pal.
Just the East Coast.
Welcome to flyover country.
Have you seen some of the kickoff time? We talked about this, way back in some of the original waves of conference realignment. Like when schools run into their first, what are we doing on the schedule here? Michigan State, their time, I have to go look. I think it's at USC, and it's for them it's an 11 p.m. kick.
Dang it. Whew. So what? It's 8 o'clock local time, and
yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's going to be a lot of sleepy Spartan fans for that one.
Yeah, that's a 3 time zone jump right there. See, that's the kind of thing that if there's ever any collective bargaining, everyone thinks that conversation would just be about money and NIL and things like that, and I get it. But if there was ever collective bargaining, that could be one of those things like, hey, there's, some parameters on travel, things like that. Or what happens the day after that kind of travel, that sort of thing.
Sure. Isn't that the same thing that Red Raider fans bleep and moan about? Oh, yeah, the tailgating
Absolutely
stuff. Every fan base complains about
11 a.m. kicks.
11 a.m.
Absolutely.
kicks.
Absolutely.
100%.
It is. I follow Alabama just enough to know that their fan base loses their mind when they – and you know what? They're not the only ones, because sort of the SEC Blue Bloods are like, why are we – playing an 11 a.m. game? Don't you know that we're LSU, fill in the blank, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, that comes up. Now, it's less so in the Big Ten, because the Big Ten's kind of used to that midday deal. In fact, you go back in time, there wasn't a ton of Big Ten evening games.
That was something that I thought was interesting. I saw some of the questions like, why wouldn't they put this in a prime time window? Like, if they're putting you on Big Noon Kickoff, that's what they're doing. I mean, your idea of the prime time window is not the same as the networks.
And I realize people don't live in this stuff like you and I do, but like if you haven't figured out, they probably value obviously the evening prime time the most, and then second is the 11 a.m. game. There used to be, back 20, 25 years ago, it used to be like your junk game would get the 11 a.m. Deal buried way down the dial at some channel you may or may not have, and now it's like, hey, that 11 a.m. I don't know if you noticed, but Texas and Ohio State played at 11 o'clock, all right, people? How many people watched that game? 16 million or 22 million or so? Some ghastly number.
That game was objectively a bad football game, too.
It was a huge number, and they put it at 11 a.m., all right? It wasn't relegated to 11 a.m. They put it at 11. They said, of all the options, we're going to stick that thing at 11 a.m. We're going to get more eyeballs. That's Fox's deal. Fox wants that. That's kind of their idea of the best time zone game, I guess. You see ESPN and ABC kind of pushing stuff in the evenings for their best games.
These networks are rattling off numbers better and better every year, Gus. The way they have figured out their primetime windows, I believe, is working, because it's why they have the power to ruin the sport financially.
Ruin the sport.
Well, whatever. Get their grubby fingers all mixed up in the sport.
I think they did that back 25 or so years ago when every game was TBD. When I was a kid, you go get your pocket schedules in June and July, and you go, hey, it's every game's at 1 o'clock here. I mean, we knew the game time for the November kickoff, but
Choice. Then have you ever heard Choice's pocket schedule story when he had a concussion? He didn't. I think it was football. Something. He has a concussion. He's in the hospital, and he has the pocket schedule, and he said he kept on like freaking out because he kept on pulling it out and seeing like Colorado had already been played, and he didn't like remember it.
That's funny.
He kept on doing it at like, I don't know, like 2-minute increments or something. You should ask him about it. It's really funny.
That's funny. The old pocket schedules, man. Now there's, I guess there's some value to it, but the pocket schedules were kind of magic to get one at the gas station or just all over town at every cash register in town. You get those in August. Like, here's our game times, here's our date, here's the schedule.
So what you're saying is
internet.
We should bring back the pocket schedule.
Well, what you get now, or like, it's like our posters and stuff, the schedule posters. You get opponent, location, date.
Right.
Back in those days, you got opponent, location, date, and time, which back in those days, it was everything basically mid-October earlier was at night. So you beat the heat, and then everything kind of mid-October later was afternoon to get some sunshine. But yeah, now somewhere in there, 25 years ago-ish, TV folks came in and said, hey, we're going to tell you when you're playing the games. And how many posts we've seen there was, well, I don't know why we just don't give Fox the middle finger. Like, well, I think it's a $43 million. I can give you $40 million. I'm sorry. I can give you 40 million reasons why that's not going to happen. Okay? I'm sorry you were inconvenienced. I know you and Clint both love the 11 a.m. kickoff. You get all day to,
I'm like one of the few. I'm in the very, very tiny percentile. It's like, yeah.
Once you tailgate with me one time, Clint, you'll never feel that way, pal.
One of these days.
When you're out there listening to Fellow American on the speaker and everyone's bobbing their heads.
That's my Saturday tradition is you texting me that on home games.
Yep. And then a picture of the keg.
If there's a Saturday for a home game that I don't get that, I'm going to be like, is he okay?
Exactly. What happened?
It's Tech Talk on Double T 97.3.
It's every Red Raiders' favorite podcast. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3. Presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Tech Talk on Double T 97.3, DoubleTSportsNetwork.com, and the Double T 97.3 mobile app brought to you by Happy State Bank. Clint, Gus, Roman, and Kyler.
And Fellow American.
Hit us up on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. You can also call us on the Visual Edge IT hotline, 806-771-0973. If you call that number, Roman Island will tell you the ins and outs of press coverage. And there's a good chance you see a bunch of that from the breakdown for Oregon State this week. So maybe a big opportunity to win some one-on-one battles on the outside if you're Reggie Virgil or Caleb Douglas. We'll get some coaches' comments as we go throughout the week. They met today. But
price of poker goes up considerably this week.
Yeah, And, so we got this on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Can we ignore Utah till Sunday and focus on Oregon State? I feel the same way about Oregon State like I did Wyoming. I don't have the same feeling as that trip you went into Laramie.
I think from our perspective here today, we're only talking about it because of the news of the day, which is that the game time for the Utah game was set. But yeah, having watched the hour of media availability today with head coach and two coordinators, there weren't many mentions of Utah. I'm not saying there wasn't any, because it is the Big 12 game that is, the opener Big 12 again. But I think the question was asked in terms of, hey, the game time was announced today. But the conversation was all about Oregon State, and ours will be as well. But the price of poker goes up considerably because this is a much different operation than we've played the last 2 weeks. Well, and just bullying the first two teams is probably a little bit unlikely this coming weekend. Not to say we shouldn't win.
Yeah, because they're an interesting opponent in a different way than I thought they would be. If you just kind of go back to looking what Oregon State at times has been, like that last year of the Pac-12, they were pretty salty, Gus, and now they're a ways away from that. And even last year, they had times, even though they went 5-7, where you go, boy, that's a pretty efficient run game that they have over there. By the way, Anthony Hankerson, he's still there. To me, the biggest part of that, their running back, that was a 1,000-yard guy. He wasn't like, how are we not talking about this guy more? But he was really good. He's there. And then you have Malik Murphy, who's played at the power level, and so. It being at home to start there, and also I don't know how this team stacks up comparatively. One, how different you are from that team that went up to Laramie. Hopefully, anyways, that's so far it looks like it. But again, you have to go. Well, they've done it against the two opponents you have, but still, they look different than that team 2 years ago. And then if you're just trying to compare Oregon State to Wyoming, I don't know what you have there, but. For Oregon State, I'm viewing it a little bit differently because I don't think that they've played anywhere near their best football. But how much can they clean up in the first 2 weeks? Because I don't know if you've been watching them in their game against Cal a couple weeks ago and then against Fresno State. They have been a mess.
Yeah.
If I'm an Oregon State fan, I'm losing my mind. The Cal one wasn't a great game. by any means. They scored just 15 points. I think the offense has been really good at gaining yards for the Beavers. They have not been good at finishing drives, and they've been turnover prone. But then you have like the special teams disaster. One of the worst punt attempts I've ever seen in my life against Fresno State. So bad he made the head coach, who I really like. I think he does a good job. He's in his second year. He's a former player over there, former linebacker, defensive coach. It frustrated him so much that he drops an F-bomb on the interview. Going into the locker room interview. And so I'm just kind of confused of what you have with Oregon State, but I don't have the same feeling that I did going into Laramie, because I was very uneasy about that game.
Yeah, I agree. And there will be some uneasiness, I would assume, this time next year when we go up and play them up there. Same deal. Of course, we're a little more attuned to playing games in the Mountain and Pacific time zones now than we ever have been, right? We're doing it once or twice a year. That Oregon State operation, I think top 20 passing team, like passing yards per game this year. You talked about Murphy, and we've heard it so much from Coach about Coach McGuire about Murphy being a UT guy, 4-star guy out of high school, big 6'5", rocket laser arm type deal. He can make all the throws, and so this is a much better looking situation. Obviously had a full season starting last year at Duke and was very good. They have lost a lot in the portal, Oregon State has, but you kind of look at it from this far away, they have a key acquisition and a big time quarterback. And their special teams has probably been the most disastrous, because I guess they lost their deep snapper either in the first game or right before the first game, and they had multiple disaster. I'm not talking about like the other day there was a low snap and the punter puts his knee on the ground. We were talking about that Kent State deal, that first possession. Like, why did we get the ball on the 12? He catches it with his knee on the ground. The next snap's knee high. Both of those were playable snaps that I thought the punter, he kind of tackled the snap. This special teams operation for Oregon State with the deep snap operation here, 3 atrocious snaps, like 2 of them over extra point, field goal, holder heads. The other bad snap on the punt that were just disastrous. Plus they threw a pick 6 late. And so that deal looks a lot worse than it probably was, but my gosh. And here's what I would say. I would think we're going to get a better version of the Beavers just because some of that stuff they can clean up without doing a whole lot. I mean, it's like they don't have to play over their heads to clean up the deep snap.
I think you have a really big opportunity to show off more like your defensive front. I think you're going to get, which has played great the first 2 weeks, the way that they have ran their offense so far. I think you're going to have more opportunity to really get after the quarterback. And like I said, I think you're going to have more opportunity too. Not that you haven't, because offense has been fairly effortless. It hasn't been perfect, but fairly effortless to show off against a better opponent. Hey, we can have these explosive plays in the passing game against a step-up in opponent.
Right, and that team really struggled. I totally agree, and that team struggled last year defensively, could not get to the quarterback, and so it needs to be a big day for our offense.
It is Tech Talk on Double T 97.3. Back with more next.
The podcast that finishes your workday in a very Red Raider way. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
It is Tech Talk. Happy Monday to you. Thanks for joining us. You got us on Double T 97.3, DoubleTSportsNetwork.com, and the Double T 97.3 mobile app, brought to you by Happy State Bank. Tonight it is the Cowboys Hour when we're done at 6 o'clock. After that, 7 o'clock, Rangers Brewers. Those Texas Rangers still fighting for a spot in the playoff. A game and a half back behind Seattle in the AL wild card chase. 4 games back in the division, for just a little note, as you will see the Astros again before the season's up. Will they be in? 7 series to go. Rangers in the playoffs. Yes? No?
I'd probably say no, but I hope I'm wrong about that. But they've got to. They got
Tua? He was not very good on Sunday.
They do,
he was not good at all.
They have to. They don't got. They have to keep it going. I mean, that number needs to be. We got to be thinking about winning 2 out of 3 or better down the stretch here, right?
Right.
Getting late, Clint. I don't know if you realized it.
Sun's getting real low, buddy.
Sun's getting low. I like that. Well said.
Kyler has our play of the day.
Blitz by the linebacker, and Montez going to have to dump it off. It's snapped in the air and intercepted. Coming back with it and rumbling down inside the 20 and into the end zone is Skyler Gill-Howard. Touchdown, Red Raiders.
Everybody loves a good thick 6.
And a John Harris guttural yell. It's incredible.
We alluded to it earlier. One of my favorite parts about this play was former Coronado Mustang John Curry, go Mustangs, keeping the head on the swivel and finding somebody to put a hat on, and got a good pancake block at the end of that. Don't think Gill-Howard needed it, but it definitely helped to prevent a possible hitting the ball out of his hands, goes to the end zone, touchback, stuff like that. So everybody loves a good thick 6, and I couldn't pass up using that as my play of the day. They
do the halftime highlights that I was appreciating. They do this for basketball too, right? And so then you can hear the radio call if you haven't been listening to, which you can hear it on Double T 97.3 every single game. You're home for Red Raider football and Red Raider sports. In the stadium, they had that volume jacked up like maybe 1 or 2 knots, a little bit too high, and it like scared me through the glass. John Harris's coming in through like the box. I was like, that's incredible. Great call. Super fun play. Already a candidate for like most fun play of the year.
Love it. Yeah, that's that'll be on just about any highlight reel. It may not be the highlight because there's probably going to be bigger moments in tighter games. But yeah, that'd be the play we all remember 10 years from now, right?
Was there anything else that stood out to you against Kent State, good or bad?
A lot's been discussed about. I mean, of course, at this point, you nitpick.
Right. Although I do think there is something that you don't have to nitpick that's been alarming. Yeah,
the short yardage offense. I mean, some of that, but and it was immediately discussed in the post game, and Coach McGuire wasn't too fired up about it. He was talking about you just want more straining. Coach McGuire said we're not straining enough. You kind of think back to some of the big plays last year that came in short yardage, and it was Conyers and Taj. Most notably, think about that play we ran at least twice, most notably in Ames, to win that game. But, some of that Wildcat and all that. But I would also say this. I think we're keeping it as vanilla. We're probably not running
Coach
a whole lot more than
today didn't, and maybe I guess if you were, you wouldn't be like we're terrified at our short yardage offense.
Nah.
But he made it seem like it's more of an execution issue than we're not strong enough to move Kent State back. But that's it's certainly something that was on one drive specifically. I was like, oh, okay, that wasn't awesome, but it wasn't like alarming to me. It's you have got to clean up special teams penalties. You're not killing yourself because you've murdered these first 2 teams. You should be. I get that, but if that's going to be a weapon of yours, and Gentry, by the way, has looked a very surprising player that's looked great as a returner. If you're going to be able to use that as a weapon in important games, like let's say you have a big return, I don't know, in Rice Eccles for an 11 a.m. kick, 10 a.m. local time. Like that could be something that if that's not cleaned up, that maybe bites you in a very bad part of a game.
Take a big play off the board that we need. But I think there's been 3 of those already. And a lot was made of it in the media session today. A lot was Coach McGuire was frustrated by it immediately post game, but a lot was made of it in media today. And when he talked about it, he said it's something that we can rep and get better.
Yeah.
Here's what we teach. We haven't been doing that because guys have been losing where the ball is. They can get better, and he said we can rep this and get better at it. And so it's not a situation where we just don't have the depth, we don't have the people, we're gonna have to switch some guys in there and see if we can get better. We don't have the coach for it.
No.
No, it's just some and so anyway, that it sounds like it's something that, you know what, we may look back on this and say, hey, a little bit of a blessing, because what we're doing is getting some insight on something to work on now before it bites us in a key game, in a key spot.
I think that is 100% accurate. Like, if you are going to learn things against competition like this, it's never good. And so there may, Gus, there may be something when you step up in competition this week against Oregon State that stands out, and we're kind of like, oh, I hope that's only this game and not something that continues on, just because the level of competition and the rosters have been so drastically different. But that's something when it's like things that you're doing to yourself that can stand out. And if it's fixable, it's better for that to happen now. Because I say that because I think that you have so many explosive players that you absolutely can use special teams and the return game as a huge weapon for you in big games when you need it. So,
and he's interesting. I'm just looking at the UAPB roster. All right. So depth chart. And Tristan Gentry's listed third on that. Now, that could be, who knows what it was, Roy Alexander, it was Jacoby Williams, and Gentry. And so in one week, 1.5 games, he's got us feeling like, hey, we got our guy. Now, the thing I'm antsy about is just true freshman punt returner, road game, first, catch it first, secure it first, make good decisions. He had a spot where I think the second punt, not the one where the punter caught it with his knee on the ground,
which was so confusing.
Yeah, because we had our hand on 2 punts, I guess. We definitely got the third punt with the second punt, it looked like. But it's the one that hit 20 yards and rolled 40. And Gentry was over there like, get away, get away, get away. And then he ran down there and kind of stood next to it with the 3 Kent State guys. And I watched Kenny Perry like yelling at him. It wasn't a fire the headset deal, but it was like, when we're done with that punt, when that punt's rolling and we're not picking it up, get the bleep away from it. Now, I don't know what he was saying, but you can imagine it was something along those lines. Like, look, you can either chalk it up to the damage is done or whatever, but you're about to make something bad, a rolling punt, or something not good, a rolling punt, into a disaster if you run back there and it hops sideways and hits you in the shin when you're definitely not trying to pick it up.
I'm sure he calmly, coolly said, no, this is a learning situation.
It may be in the film room today. Sure. It might be that, or tomorrow in the film room. But yeah, at the moment, it was probably having to restrain himself a little bit, going, it's a true freshman.
Yeah.
Coach him up.
It is Tech Talk on Double T 97.3. Back with more next.
The podcast put together with Red Raider fans in mind. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3. Presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
It is hour number 3. You got Tech Talk on Double T 97.3, DoubleTSportsNetwork.com, the Double T 97.3 mobile app, brought to you by our friends at Happy State Bank. We are live from the First United Bank studio. You can join us on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. You can also call us on the Visual Edge IT hotline, 806-771-0973. We are streaming live on Fox 34 News Now, YouTube, Facebook, all of that is welcome to you. Clint, Gus, Kyler, and Roman, both behind the glass, taking care of us. Here in hour number 3, we'll have the Juice round 2 in 15 minutes. 5:45, we will have Ask Tech Talk. Make sure to give us your questions for that. We got this from T-Bone. Clint, Kansas is just as bad as those two. Oh, yes, KU is an incredibly arrogant fan base. But yes, I also have never denied that.
Certainly in the sport of basketball.
Yes.
Like, I didn't realize that.
They're a little new to football, but they've already gotten kind of cocky. It was
okay.
a pretty tough weekend for that fan base.
Okay.
They were starting to pop off.
Speaking of tough weekends.
Yeah, where do you want to start in the Big 12 for tough weekends?
Yeah, it's like another opportunity missed there, and you predicted you didn't predict when discussing the Arizona State game, Arizona State at Mississippi State, what you predicted if they don't go there and win, that is last year's Big 12 champ losing to a 2-10 team, and that's what happened. And you were talking about the bad optics of that, and then you throw in the Auburn, like the Auburn Baylor game. Those were two SEC opponents that were, middling at best last year, that have gotten wins over, teams predicted to do well here. One game I did watch Saturday night, Clint, was the end of the Army Kansas State game. Mercy.
Is this? I said this last week, and I mean, I don't know how to not view it any other way, because I understood there were some that were just like, well, this is what Kansas State does every year. And I think that and thought that this was a different version of Kansas State dropping a non-con game or an early game, because obviously the first one they drop is a conference game to Iowa State. And then they almost drop what would have been an embarrassing game, still an embarrassing performance against North Dakota, and then they do drop a game against Army. The reason I think it's different is because even in some of those times where they've lost to like a North Dakota State, or they dropped a game to Tulane in Manhattan like 2 or 3 years ago, you could still see some of the normal things you see from what I think has made Kansas State, like sure tackling,
right.
Good special teams play, smart heady plays, being in the right spots, and even offensively, I think that's where they've been got by some of these early season losses like that, where the offense hasn't been explosive, but the defense is not playing well. They're not dominating the line of scrimmage. They are all out of sorts. They have times where they just can't tackle. They're being out-toughed by teams. Like Army out-toughed them in that win. And for a lot of that game against North Dakota, they were out-toughed. And so that's what's just so confusing, because it's the least Kansas State profile K-State team I've seen.
And that's the Army club fresh off of a loss, or not fresh off of, but I guess a week removed, 2 weeks removed from a double overtime loss to Tarleton.
Well,
and that was in Manhattan.
Yes,
obviously, yeah.
And this is the point. Like, to me, is from a media push standpoint. They're not even talking about Baylor in a crazy double overtime win at SMU, playoff team last year, top 25, good win for the Big 12. Right. Because of how it happened. They're not talking about Iowa State beating a Big Ten opponent, because that game went exactly how everyone expected. It was low scoring. And guess what? Another 3-point win in that series. But Iowa State gets that win. That's a good win for the Big 12. Yep. We're talking about the worst loss. Yep. Right?
Absolutely.
We're talking about the two stories I saw the most from the Big 12 is Mississippi State taking down last year's Big 12 champ. And to me now, if you're a Big 12 fan, you don't have to be. You can just be. There's nothing wrong with just being a fan of your team and not being a conference fan. I'm not saying you have to be. But if you are a Big 12 fan, I think you're in the boat of hoping Mississippi State is much better than what they're projected to be in the SEC. And it was not a good, especially the first half, horrible offense from Arizona State. And then I thought, questionable decision-making at the end. And then also Mississippi State just beat you on a play with busted coverage. That was the story for the Big 12. And the other story was whatever Oregon did to Oklahoma State. That should not be allowed FCC-wise. They made Oklahoma State look like an FCS opponent. Like those were, and so that was just such a disappointing look for the conference.
There was an element of
oh my gosh.
There's an element. It felt like that there was an element of that was keep talking, Gundy. Like that. That's the optics around that. Like if you told me he's going to be back next year, I'd be shocked because he was that close. I mean, he was hours away from getting fired this year. and they reworked his deal. But
I mean, I think every Big 12 team that looked to see if they have Oklahoma State on their schedules, even if they didn't, even if they already felt good about it, they were like, boy, if this is who's going to walk in here.
Well, and remember, part of that is a double is the backup quarterback. I mean, so in fairness to those dudes, but yeah, that doesn't account for the 66 though. But there's
41 points.
There might be
at the half is bad enough, and then a 28-point third quarter, Gus.
There's losses like that tend to have an effect. They may be able to clean some things up and whatever, but you got to believe that there's some reality setting in of like, we're not very good.
Yeah.
And I think that given the predictions, there's probably some thought that we can come out and shock the world, but it's like, man, we're, and I contrast this to 2 years ago, we play Oregon here, and, Joey was all about embracing that, the challenge and all that stuff. And then we contrast that with the narrative going into last week from Gundy about they need to play teams in their own salary cap, with the NIL. And it's like, man, you sound like you're backing away from that deal. And Joey was leaning in and, talked about how much respect he had for Landon. I mean, just like the optics of us feeling like we could punch up and maybe get those dudes. And it did come down to a last possession type deal before that sack. Pick six, fumble, thick six, maybe. I don't know. It was a linebacker, though. He was a little bit faster than that. But, it just felt like the OSU deal was not – they weren't competitive in that deal, and it didn't feel like they were competitive from about Tuesday on.
Well, it didn't feel like mentally they were going into a competitive – yeah, because they were talking about, Gundy, the stark difference between the rosters. Just weird. It's Tech Talk on Double T 97.3.
This has been the Tech Talk Podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet97.3.com.